Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with the Chance of Meeples. Today, we are going back to the drawing board. Well, I guess not the drawing board. We're going back to the easel. We're going to be taking out our paints once again in Canvas Reflections. The first expansion to Canvas, a game that I love a lot. Give it a 90% chance Meeples. Base game Canvas, absolutely fantastic. Today, we are looking at Reflections. And in this expansion, adds a new board, new scoring objectives, and new double-sided cards. Let me show you how this one plays or what's involved in this one in the radar overview. Then, my final forecast. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for Canvas Reflections looks something like this. I'm just going to assume that you know already how to play Canvas, the base game. If you do not, I'll post a link to the description of how to play the base game in the description of this video so you can check that out. But in this expansion, I'm going to show you what new components are included and the new mechanics that are included, and or what the new components bring in the form of new mechanics. But first I want to say, you obviously notice you have a big board. So the board is considerably bigger than the board or the mat in the base game. So this is the base game playing mat that rolls up, and typically, you know, you put your different goal cards here and you put all the tokens on top of that. Whereas in the Reflections expansion, it has this big board and it shows you, you know, you put all the green ones there and you put a gold card there. So it has everything organized, but it definitely does take up considerably more table space than the base game. But what comes in this expansion? Well, you get some more inspiration tokens because you'll need a few more per player. You also get some new background cards that you'll be able to shuffle in to the mix of the ones in the base game. As you see, these objectives might look a little bit different. That's because you get 9 new objectives. And I will say that this is just the retail version. There may be more in the deluxe edition of Reflections, but in just the retail, you get, you know, another 9 objectives, and these you can just add them into the base game, and you can just use these in any game. So, for instance, you know, the shading. You get a ribbon if you have 2 shading elements side by side. And I love it. It has the clarifications. It shows or tells you exactly how these things score. So you don't have to go to the rule book to wonder how they score. And it shows you an example of what would be illegal scoring, and and sometimes in an illegal one. For example, like this one. You know, this would score, this would not, for adjacency. 2 pairs of adjacent elements in different swatches. So I've appreciated that, what they've done. But what does this bring? Well, if you are familiar with Canvas, you will see that it has gold ribbons, and they're worth 3 points. And you can get gold ribbons from these new cards. And this is the star of the show, the new cards, because much like Canvas, it's just a fantastic puzzle in which you're stacking cards to create an image. But in this Reflections, you get new cards that are reversible, which is just a really fascinating thing. So Relief, it has a blue and a purple swatches, and then if you flip it over, they turn to a red and yellow. So just another layer, legitimately another layer to think about when grabbing these cards, because I could put like this, but then I'm covering up my yellow swatch, or I do this, and all of a sudden I have 4 swatches. And so fantastic, just new thing. It's really, really neat. You got, what is it, Sweet on one side and Delight on the other. What is this? Duty, little scarecrow on the other side. Watching. It's a scarecrow, but kind of, he looks a little bit different. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of them. I'll just show you a few of them. You got Burden. We'll try to work with the reflection here. What's this? Oh yeah, Giant. You flip it over. Colossal. So some really, really neat new art pieces. Morning, late. So, but I will explain a little bit. You need more inspiration tokens, as mentioned, because the drafting works a little bit different. Anything in this column is free, and if I want either one of these, I have to put an inspiration token on one of each, and then I could take this and these slide down. And that legitimately is the main mechanic. This just gives you 8 cards instead of the normal 5 that was in the base game. So a little bit more options each game. So your puzzle will open up a bit, and then to help out with that, you get a few more inspiration tokens. But that's about it. I will also say these gold ones, you get 1 gold per adjacent of whatever it shows. So in this case, 1 gold per adjacent tint. So let's say I do like this, then I would get 2 gold because I have 2 of these tint icons right beside this gold one. So that is what you get in Canvas Reflections. I will also say that there's a little bit of a variant for the masterpiece. Whoever wins gets this, and then everybody takes one of their paintings. They explain why, or like they kind of just, it turns into a game of apples to apples in a way. They explain their painting, everybody votes whose painting and explanation was the best. That person gets this masterpiece token, and then the 2 people share a victory. So it turns a little bit into apples to apples in that regard. Much like the base game, it also shows you some different scenarios. So, you know, if you want a simplified version, and you just, really simple, you use these pairing goals, standard, and if you want a really complex, then you use these ones, and then you can see if you can beat these scores, then you're doing really, really well. But that is what you get in Canvas Reflections. Let's move on over now and check out the final forecast. So the final forecast for Canvas Reflections, a game all about creating art. Like I said at the top of the video, I love Canvas, the base game, absolutely fantastic. Taught it to a whole bunch of people this year even, and it's just streamlined. The whole game, the whole thing about the game Canvas is taking those 3 cards, putting them together, and building a picture. And this game, this expansion, it just adds these double-sided cards, and this is just so neat and so clever. Because, you know, on one side you got watching, on the other side you have duty, and it's the same thing. Or you have relief on the one side and calm on the other. Of course, I'm reading the back and stuff, but it's just so neat how they took one image and then just made a reverse image of that image, if that makes sense. Of course, the swatches also flip, so that can help you out immensely in this game. I will backtrack and say if you haven't played Canvas or you don't know how to play Canvas, this will be a very challenging and maybe redundant video to you that you don't know exactly. It's confusing. So if you haven't played Canvas or seen my review and my wife's review on Canvas, check that out first. I'll post a link to that video in the description of this one. But this just adds more cards. That's what this adds. It adds more cards. Also adds another way to score with these gold ribbons that are worth 3 points each, and they can combo a little bit because so this one you get a gold for every one of those squares that are adjacent. And so you know what, they have ways that you can then straight up, like this would be pretty sweet. You know, you got Burden, you got this traveler and a piano, so you get 2 of those gold tokens with this card. So there's just more variety, just more combos that can happen in the game. That's pretty much what you get in this. You also get, again, more more backgrounds, so that just adds some more pretty backgrounds to your paintings, much like the back of the front cover of the box. I like it that it has more objectives, so just more ways to score. Pretty self-explanatory. You got the shading, every group of these, triangles to the left of the squares. Like this would be a little bit more brain burny. You can make this thing, I know that's not a real word, brain burny. Well, Bernie is the name. Hi, Bernie. But triangle to the left of the square element, And so you can make it, again, as challenging as you want or as chill as you want, much like the base game canvas. You add these in, and then the two masterpiece variant, you can hand out the best in show and the masterpiece. Truthfully, I won't play with that. Some folks may really like that. It kind of turns the game into an apples to apples because you just, you explain your painting and then people vote on the explanation with what the painting looks like, and then those people share the victory. So maybe turns it in from a straight up game into an activity at that point. But that's for each player and their group to decide how they want to play. But I like it, again, on the back of the rulebook, they have the different scenarios. You want just like a family game, you want a standard game, complex game. So the designers kind of took all of the different scoring objectives and they kind of categorized them and grouped them together in different ways for you to challenge yourself or to have different types of game. Overall, fantastic expansion. My biggest complaint, and maybe it's not a complaint, but my biggest thing about the expansion is actually the main board. It's way bigger than that playmat, and I like that playmat. I liked how the cards slide across that. They slide fine on the board, and I get it how they kind of like brought everything together. So you have the objectives, and then you have those tokens right beside it instead of off the board. But there was just something about 5 choices when you played Canvas. You had that conveyor belt system. The first one's free. And then, everything down the line is 1 inspiration token. This kind of, it doesn't double it. It gives like 4 columns now and 2 rows. So you have 8 cards. So you have more like variety or like more options when it comes to the cards. And then to balance that out, they give you more inspiration tokens so that you can, get different cards. I personally never found that when I only had 5 options that it would become stagnant or less fun. I think the puzzle is just as strong. Maybe for me, I probably won't play. I'll play Reflections. I'll shuffle these in every time I play because it just brings more variety. And I would probably almost teach this to new players as well, depending on how much they know games, but it's not that difficult. It does add a little bit more thinkiness to it because if I have this cold or frost, then I'm looking at all my cards plus this one. It's almost as if it's another card. So you have 5 cards in your hand max. If you have a couple double ones, then you're flipping them back and forth. It could add a little bit of time to the game. And it may add a little bit of complexity for those who maybe aren't into the hobby, but not that much. And so I'll always use these, and I probably am not going to use the board to Reflections because I personally, again, don't feel I need to have 8 cards. 5 is all right, and it just adds, the first column is free, and if I want, the second column, I have to use 2 inspiration tokens, and then I can take either one in the second column, and it just slows things down for me a little bit. But overall, the game is like the expansion's amazing, like so much. If you're a fan of Canvas, this is like a no-brainer. This doesn't add anything, like it doesn't add like just stuff for the sake of adding stuff. It adds just more fun and puzzly fun. I just said fun twice, 3 times now. But it just adds more just creativity. And it's just, again, still like really neat to me how they take the same image and they just reverse it. So you got hungry on one side and death on the other. Burger and fries, or burger and pop, or burger and a drink leads to death. In a round, maybe not. I'm getting too deep in that. But overall, fantastic. 90% chance of meeples for Canvas Reflections. If you're a fan of Canvas, highly suggest checking out Reflections. Top notch. There you have it. 90% chance of meeples. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy the Chance of Meeples. Till next time, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.